Okay, I'm gonna go a little, we're actually running super long, so I'm gonna go a little faster through this last part, but let's talk about approach anxiety real fast, all right? How many people here have approach anxiety? Yeah? How many people wish they had less of it? Cool. Well, guess what? It's probably not gonna go away immediately, but there are things you can do, all right? And here are the things to understand. First of all, understand it doesn't make sense. Okay? It did make sense. Again, in a tribe of 30 people, approach anxiety made a ton of sense. Because in a tribe of 30 people, you're gonna know these people, like 30, 100, whatever the tribe is, you're gonna know these people for the rest of your life, quite likely. And they're gonna be your key to survival for the rest of your life. So if you develop a bad reputation right away, you could be cast out of the tribe, you're dead. Or you could be put in a position of low status, you're pretty much fucked, right? And because they're gonna know you for a long period of time, anything that you do that's really positive right away isn't gonna make a big difference 10 years later, right? But something you did really negative could, right? It's like, there's a phrase about reputation. They say it takes a lifetime to build and a second to destroy, right? So in a small social circle or a small social setting, you have to be a little more cautious. You have to be very cautious not to make a negative move, because the negative move is very negative. The positive move is only marginally positive. In a big city doing cold approach, it no longer applies. You're not with the same 30 people over and over again, and you do have to be very positive, because if not, you'll never see the girl again, okay? So it's actually completely opposite. The emotion in your body, this cold approach emotion, makes no sense, the approach anxiety emotion makes no sense on a cold approach in the 21st century. Makes no sense whatsoever, but it did make sense thousands of years ago. So when you get that feeling, don't judge yourself. It's totally normal to feel that way. But at the same time, realize it doesn't matter. Realize it's nothing, right? And just go anyway. Go anyway and just be like, listen, it's funny that I feel that. I know why I feel that. It's cool, it's normal. I'm not a bad person for feeling it, but I know the right thing to do, and I'm gonna do the right thing anyway, okay? But understanding that it doesn't make sense and understanding where it comes from can help you a little bit, because at least you can have that mind over matter. Now, ways to overcome approach anxiety. Number one, progressive desensitization. So that is, if you're really, really scared to approach, just do softer approaches first, okay? So if you're terrified of even talking to a girl at all, go up and ask 20 girls what time it is, right? And then from there, ask them what time it is, and then express one sentence of your own opinion. And then from there, ask them what time it is, and then give them a compliment, right? And then from there, maybe do a regular approach, right? So you can progressively desensitize and make it easier and easier and easier for yourself. That's one way to do it. And that's very, very valid, especially like if you haven't done a lot of approaches, totally fine. The other way you can do it is maybe in a particular day, even if you have done approaches, my first 3 approaches don't count. My first 3 approaches, I'm just gonna go and do whatever. I'm just gonna be pleasant and positive. And if they like me, great. If they don't, who cares? And they're just warm-ups. So giving yourself permission to warm up, giving yourself permission to suck, okay? Here's something I say to students on boot camp all the time. You're allowed to be however scared you wanna be. You're allowed to be so scared you walk up to the girl and vomit on her. It's allowed, right? You're allowed to go up to her and forget how to speak English. Don't care. But you're not allowed to not go up. You have to walk over and do something, okay? So that's it. You're allowed to suck though. You're allowed to do the worst approach that's ever been done. And if you do that, I will be proud of you. And you should be proud of yourself, okay? That's very, very key. So that's another way to go is just like reduce your standards for what is a good set. Next way to get good or get over approach anxiety is just see so many girls you want to approach and have the pain of not going so often that you just want to shoot yourself in the head, and the pain of not going hurts more than the pain of going. That's a very valid way as well. And I think like all of us for our first approach, that's probably what it was, right? We're like, fuck, God damn it, I gotta do it. So you just make yourself do it. Next one that I really like though, and this is kind of my newest approach to it and what I think is most effective. Think of approaching not as doing game, just think of it as a physical action. So what is an approach? If I want to approach you right over here, my goal isn't to go up and talk to you. My goal is actually to walk up and utter a sound. So if I walk over and go, hey, that's an approach. And from that moment that I've done that, I now no longer have a choice to bail out. Because at the moment when I did that, I essentially I call it putting a gun to your head. It's actually a phrase from Julian. But putting a gun to your head, up until that moment, the easier thing to do is not approach. Once you've gone and said something, the easier thing to do is try and continue the interaction as opposed to leaving, because leaving became the more awkward thing, okay? So what you do is you take that one action such that it's more awkward to leave than to stay. And that's it. That's your job, is just go over and take that action. And if afterwards you still feel like leaving, you're free to. But just take that action. So don't think of it as I'm doing a cold approach. Think of it as I'm walking over and tapping this girl on the shoulder. That's it. That's all you're doing. Or I'm walking over and saying the word hi. That's it. Beyond that, whatever happens, I'm totally okay with it. That's it. Because the reason guys don't want to do a cold approach, a big part of it is they're worried about, well, if I say this and she says this, and then what's going to happen? Is it going to go well? And da-da-da. Don't worry about all that, right? Walking over and just doing that thing to get attention is it. That's a successful approach right there. Whatever happens after that, leave it to chance. Just trust your instincts. It's either there or it's not. She either likes you or she doesn't. Who cares? Okay? But don't think of it as this big ordeal, this thing that you have to do that requires skill. It's just one physical action. That's all an approach is. Okay? So an approach is, Owen has a really good video about this. It's called Just Do This, right? It's like, just do this, or this, or this, or this, right? Just do anything. Just take one physical action that indicates the opener. And beyond that, don't even worry about the rest of that. Whatever happens after that, doesn't matter. You still did everything perfect. Okay? So I really like that. And what a lot of that comes down to, though, is reduce your standards for what you consider a good approach. Right? It doesn't have to be that good to be good.